Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining our Discover UNE virtual series. Today, we're going to focus on college fit. Is UNE the right fit for you? And we'll start with really introductions. So I will start with myself. My name is Donald Vivian. I am a senior assistant director in our Office of Undergraduate Admissions, and I work with students from Boston and the North Shore of Massachusetts, as well as all international students. So if you have any questions and you're from those areas, please don't hesitate to reach out. But we're also joined by two of our student ambassadors tonight, so we want to welcome them to this virtual session as well. Grace, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
My name is Grace. I'm a junior studying animal behavior and marine science. I'm also co-captain of the UNE Club rowing team.
Fantastic. Thanks, Grace. And Hope?
Hi, everybody. My name is Hope. I am a med bio major on a pre-dental medicine track. I also have a minor in health medicine society. And one thing I do on campus is I am the co-president of the Giving Tree Society, which is a community service club on campus.
Wow, very cool. Well, thank you so much for both of you to be here tonight. We really appreciate your time, and I know we'll definitely hear from you more throughout the presentation. And tonight, as you think about what we're going to sort of review, we're going to give you a quick UNE overview, and it's really a crash course on UNE. We want to get you some quick information, but also hear from our students about how they navigated the admissions process and how UNE was the right fit for them. And that's what tonight is about, learning about UNE and how it may be the right fit for you. We'll also jump into and talk about some application and financial aid information. We'll have time for a Q&A, and then finally we'll finish around with what's coming up next, what events are happening on campus, and how you can engage with us moving forward. As I mentioned, we're going to give you a crash course on UNE, and it's going to start with academics. And when you think about, what is available at UNE, it really breaks down into three categories. Again, these academics, study abroad, and extracurriculars. Again, extracurriculars are going to entail a lot of different things here at UNE, and we'll dive in and talk more about what that's going to entail. But like I said, let's start with academics, and it's going to start with our majors and minors, which we offer 40 different majors and minors on campus. 41% of our students are going to be engaged in research by the time they graduate. Experiential education opportunities, these hands-on experience, are really a cornerstone at UNE. No matter what your major or minor is, you're going to get out of the classroom. You're going to be engaged in research, internship, or a clinical rotation. And that's what you can see here. 92% of our students are involved in one of those three by the time they graduate, if not multiple. And we really want to make sure that, again, no matter what you're studying, you have opportunities starting in your first year to really explore your interests outside of the classroom and get your hands dirty and get involved in areas that you're really excited about. UNE is an R2 university when it comes to research. So that really means that we have high activity, high research activity on campus. We're also the number one school in Maine for national NIH funding. So as you think about your experiences here, this is an opportunity for you to get those hands-on experiences. No matter your major or minor, no matter what year you are, we're making sure it's an available opportunity for all of our students. And when it comes to the admissions process, Gracie and Hope, I'll start with you, Gracie. As you were looking at college and universities, did you know exactly what you want to study when you came to college? Did you have an idea? Were you still figuring it out as a first year student? What did that look like for you?
Growing up, I always loved the ocean. I was scuba certified coming into college, so I really wanted to study marine science, marine biology. So I did come to UNE. Part of the reason was because of the fantastic marine science program we have here. And even though I ended up switching my major, this school was the perfect fit for me, so I stayed.
Fantastic. And Hope, did you always think you wanted to or have a degree in dental medicine? Where did you find yourself falling as an applicant, looking at schools, thinking about where to apply?
So when I was looking at schools, I was looking at the location, I was looking at the programs, and I actually was starting off looking at schools as a dental hygiene major. So with that, you're getting a bachelor's in dental hygiene. There's no grad school or anything or dental school involved with that. And especially as a first generational student, it can be hard to figure out what you want to do and navigate the process. So grad school was never really in the cards for me, but when I was here, I ended up changing my major to med bio and pre-dental to eventually pursue dental school. But I had the idea of just going to school for 4 years, for years beyond coming to college. I knew that's what I wanted to do. Sometimes that just doesn't happen, and that's okay.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting that both of you again came to UNE with some specific idea about what you wanted to study, but when you got here and started taking classes, talking with your advisors, you found a different path that was better suited for you. And I think that epitomizes, your experience, especially as a first or a second year student. You really have an opportunity to explore opportunities to find what's going to be best fit for you. And we don't want, again, as you think about applying to UNE, silo you into the majors that you've selected on that application. We want to make sure that you still have the flexibility to pursue your interests and maybe change and pivot while you're a student here on campus. Now, when thinking about majors and minors, here are our top 5, academic majors on campus, from marine science all the way down to applied exercise science. Again, we offer 40 plus majors and minors, so you have a lot of a lot of opportunity to pick and choose what's going to be the best fit for you. But again, these are our top 5 most popular majors on campus. And then when it comes to class sizes, again, our average class size is going to be 22. We have about 2,200 undergraduate students, so again, a relatively small school. And we have a 12-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So you still have that opportunity to get that, individualized attention from faculty members. You have an opportunity to get to know them a little bit better, get to know your classmates. Again, when you start to think about in your 3rd and 4th year taking major specific courses, you're going to be working with a lot of the same students that you would throughout your, the last 2 years of your career here at UNE. So you really get to know and build that relationship with your, classmates as well. Now, when you were thinking about applying, Hope, were you looking at schools that had opportunities to get outside the classroom? Was that a big piece of your, application or your admissions process?
Yeah, also like within the classroom too, like having that small to student to faculty ratio was really important to me. Being one of those students where you like constantly asking questions in class, being able to keep involved in what's happening and not fall astray and not understanding what's going on was definitely important for me, especially as we all know, like STEM majors are can be difficult sometimes, and you want to make sure that you're fully paying attention to what your professor is teaching you. And in this way, when you're having that small class size, you're able to do so.
Very nice. And Gracie, I think, thinking about your major, marine science, and thinking about our location, how did that play a role in your decision with, again, the resources right on our campus for your hands-on experiences in marine science?
Someone who's a very experimental learner. I love to learn by doing. So the school is a really good choice in that aspect. We have boats in the Marine Science Center that we use for research and we use for labs. And so even in just the span of one semester, we would go out on the water in a boat 6 different times. And I remember every different time that we did it because I learned something every single time. And it makes learning a lot more enjoyable for me.
I think it's a really cool opportunity to, again, have everything you need right out the back door when it comes to the Marine Science Center. Again, everything literally right outside, but also through coursework, getting out into the river, getting out to the marshes, into the ocean. So it's a really great opportunity for students. But there's also another opportunity to really get hands-on experience, and that's by studying abroad. And we offer a number of different opportunities for students to have a global experience, ranging from full semester abroad to what we call travel courses on our campus. And really the only question is when and where to go. We really want to make sure that if you want to have a global experience, it's going to be available for you no matter what your major or minor is. And you can see 32% of our students are going to graduate with a global experience. And that's really going to help us have 5 times the national average of students studying abroad. Again, through full semester experience as well as travel courses, we're making sure that if you want to have a global experience here at UNE, it's going to be possible. And studying abroad may start at our Tangier campus. It opened in 2014. And students, no matter their major or minor, like I said, have an opportunity to spend a full semester in this vibrant city where it's the same cost as if you're studying in Southern Maine. As you can see, it's owned by the university. So the courses that you're taking are led by UNE faculty members. So it's, again, a direct transfer of credit back to our home university in Biddeford. But this campus opened with really the health science students in mind. Tangier really is going to help students, again, in the health sciences, have opportunities for a global experience, but also make sure that the labs that they need, the clinical experiences, are all giving our students, again, access to this global experience, no matter whether they're in the health sciences or the humanities or the social sciences. Tangier is helping all of our students study abroad. And Gracie, I know that you're heading there, next semester. Could you share a little bit more information about, that upcoming global experience?
So I knew coming into college that I wanted to study abroad. So that's another reason that I chose UNE. And I decided that I wasn't quite brave enough, me personally, to go somewhere not completely UNE affiliated. I feel a lot more comfortable studying abroad at a UNE campus with the exact classes I need with a group of people that I already know. So that's the reason that I chose Tangier, especially because they have the lab classes that I'll need to take. Um, and I can go with my friends that I already know from here, which is really exciting. Um, and I'm a person who's generally pretty stressed out, but the school makes the process of studying abroad, especially in Morocco, pretty straightforward. We have our Go Global desk that's open almost all the time, and there's always at least one student who studied abroad working there, so you can always go and ask them questions. There's also like 5 workshops this month alone about the upcoming semester in Morocco. So I'm going to go to some of those, and they help you book your flights and stuff. So it's really structured, and there's a lot of help, which I'm excited to utilize.
Yeah, I know I'm dying to try to get to the Tangier campus. It just looks an amazing experience, and I know it's very unique to UNE because there are not many universities or colleges that will send students to Morocco or to Tangier. So it's unique in that sense. And from marine science, Charles will tell you all about how exciting that is to study marine science at the Strait of Gibraltar. So you really can't beat that location, no matter the major. But in addition to the Tangier campus, we also have access to our partner programs in Spain, France, and Iceland, which also offer full semester abroad experiences. And finally, we do also offer these opportunities to have a shorter global experience through our travel courses. And the travel courses really go all throughout the world and give students a chance to have, again, a short study abroad opportunity, really led by the faculty member who's teaching that class as well. We want to make sure that students, again, if they aren't sure if they want to spend a full semester abroad, that's okay. They can start with a travel course on our campus, spend a week or 2 weeks studying abroad with that faculty member and your classmates, and really, again, give yourself an opportunity to make a decision if you want to spend a full semester abroad later on down the road. So no matter what your interests are, we want to make sure you have an opportunity to have that global experience. And Hope, I would love to hear you about your experience with the travel course that you took.
Yeah, so just recently in the spring semester, I took the course that was Anatomy and Art, and then we headed to Italy. The main topic in Anatomy and Art was studying the models of the human body before they had actually been made. So there were artists like Leonardo da Vinci, and we got to see and study all of the art pieces while we were here. And then when we went to Italy, we got to experience them firsthand by going to all of these different cities and experiencing the culture in Europe. And it's awesome that I was able to do that, like still be able to travel, but not go for the entire semester because I'm one of those students where I just don't know if I could do a whole semester. So having these options is really great.
Yeah, I know in the travel courses, the ones that they offer, again, they're going to rotate out in and out each semester, but they do truly go all over the world, including the Galapagos, Costa Rica, Uganda, Kenya. So, Hope talked about the Italy trip. They go to Greece. So there's some really great offerings that, again, give you a different experience than a full semester abroad might. Now, to round out your experience, we want to encourage you to get involved, and that could start with athletics. And we do offer 19 Division III athletic teams. We have 21 or 22 club sports now. I'm actually the coach of the club men lacrosse team, so we're really excited to again provide experience for students if they want to continue athletically. We've got 22 intramural sports that again just provide you a different level of experience or commitment than you would with club or again our varsity athletics as well. And then we have more than 100 clubs and organizations on our campus. So no matter what your interest may be, there's likely a club here on campus for you. And if there isn't, all you're going to need is 5 of your friends and a staff member or a faculty member, and you can create that lasting impact that other students might really find exciting as well. When it comes to, again, having this impact or how involvement may impact your experience, now that you've both, been at UNE for a few years, Gracie, how has your involvement really impacted your experience as a student?
I'm involved in a lot of things, and I think that the impact that I'll leave the most with is probably the people that I've met. I met one of my best friends when we were in our first year through the rowing team, and now we're co-captains of the rowing team, which is really special. I got close with one of my professors through scuba club because she was our dive master, and so we'd go on dives together. I just think it's a really good way to fully take advantage of everything that the school offers. Yeah, I don't know. I like being involved.
Yeah, and I know again that's not atypical for students to be involved in a lot of different things. Hope, Could you just share some of, what your involvement looks like outside of being a student ambassador?
Yeah, so I'm one of those students where I'm not very much into the athletics part of things, and that's like something that I love about this university too, is because there truly is something for everyone. Um, so like I was saying, I am involved with some community service clubs. And I just love doing that because like it just feels so good, but also just like random clubs that I'm into. Um, I'm in the pre-dental club. There's major specific clubs, which is awesome. So you can learn more and make sure you're going in the right direction outside of your classroom. And then there's just like random clubs that sometimes you're just involved with, like cheese and charcuterie club or the breakfast club. And those are fun to do too. And you just meet so many new people through that. So not only do you get to like meet new friends, but you also get to make connections with professors like Gracie was talking about earlier, for later on down the road too.
Yeah, and I think involvement, like you both have talked about, can really impact and have a positive effect on how to meet people on campus. I think, especially as a first year student, it can be daunting to come to a new place where you maybe don't know anybody, and getting involved is a quick way to just meet a lot of people at once and get to know, people based off of your interests as well. And I think that's a really important part of, picking and choosing clubs and extracurriculars, because they again are based off of what you're, really excited about here on campus. Now, switching gears a little bit, when it comes to applying to UNE, we have two deadlines here. We have an early action deadline of November 15th and a regular decision deadline of February 15th. Now, as a reminder, that early action deadline is non-binding. So if you are admitted through early action, you are not required to attend the university. However, we highly recommend that students interested in medical biology, pre-dental medicine, nursing, again, we highly recommend that you're applying early action, because it's going to give you more time at the end of this process to visit campus and make sure this is going to be the best fit for you moving forward. And like I said, again, we have these two deadlines. You can apply by either of them. Neither is going to give you, we don't have a preference for one versus the other. So again, apply which deadline is going to be best for you. Now, when you submit an application, you have three choices. You could apply using the Common App, Coalition App, or the UNE application. I always recommend that if you're applying to multiple colleges and universities across the US using the Common App, it is the easiest way to apply. It gives you one opportunity to fill out an application, and then you can send it to all of the schools and universities that you're excited about. So again, you have three options, but I highly recommend the Common App. And then again, the only other required material outside of the application is going to be your official high school transcript. So you can see here the optional materials of a letter of recommendation, a resume, or a portfolio. Letters of recommendation can come from anyone outside of your parents or guardians. So it could be a boss from a part-time job. It could be a coach, a teacher at your high school, your counselor, again, whoever you feel like can best speak to who you are inside and outside the classroom. Now, finally, before we jump into our Q&A, I want to, hear from our students one more time. And Hope, could you just tell us, what stood out to you about UNE?
I said yes to this university not only because of its academics, but like we were just talking about the extracurriculars. You're going to get a great education here, as we have heard about. And I definitely feel like I've been getting a really good education, but also like the support that you get from the faculty too has been quite awesome. And they're definitely the reason why I'm pursuing dental school, like being supported so much. And that just like revalidates my answer to saying yes to this university.
Yeah. And Gracie, what about you?
I agree with everything Hope just said, definitely. But for me, it was a lot about the people. I remember when I toured, every single person I met, whether they were my tour guide or just a random student in the dining hall, everyone was so friendly, and you could tell that everybody was just really happy to be here and they loved it here, and that stuck with me. I was like, I want to love this school just like they do. Like I could see myself being really happy here. And then I obviously made the best choice for me. The school is definitely the right fit, but it was the people for me that stood out.
Great. Thank you both. Finally, let's just quickly talk about financial aid. So you can see the direct cost of attendance there. So again, tuition and fees and room and board is going to be $61,460. But students are automatically qualified for a merit scholarship. So you can see 98% of our students are going to qualify for that merit scholarship based off of students' unweighted GPA in high school. And then in addition to the merit scholarship, we are also offering additional aid through the free application for federal student aid or the FAFSA. Now, this year's FAFSA is expected to be open in December. So again, keep an eye out for more information about that. You can find that on FAFSA's website or by reaching out to our student financial services, whose contact information is right here as well. So again, if you have any questions as you work through the financial aid process, please don't hesitate to reach out to them. You can call them, shoot them an email, as well as schedule time to talk with them on the website. So please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our student financial services. Now, let's jump into the Q&A. I think let's start, Gracie, with just maybe an easy one about thinking about, when you applied. How many schools did you apply to?
2 schools.
Wow. Okay. And Hope, what about you? Did you have a long list of schools that you were thinking about? Did you narrow it down? How did that process look for you?
So I applied to about like 5 or 6 different schools.
Okay. Now we have another question, and it'll be more of an admissions question. And the question really is around, essays and how to effectively write, a college essay. And at UNE, we only require the one, application essay. And if you look at the Common App, you have 7 or 8 different choices to choose from, including a choose your own prompt. But the biggest thing with essays is that this is the one you're sending to all of your colleges and universities. This is the one that you really get to introduce yourself to the admissions staff with. Think of this as your chance to, again, say hello and introduce and tell us your story. And if you think about the application in general, we'll be able to tell what type of student you are through your transcript, your curriculum. We'll get a sense of how you're doing through your, again, your grades, your GPA. We start to see what you're passionate about through your extracurriculars. Again, your letters of recommendation are going to give us a different insight into who you are from an outsider's perspective. But essays are our first chance to hear your voice in this entire application process. So one, you want to give yourself enough time to write a first draft, a second draft, have someone else at the high school review that. But also you want to make sure that you're telling the story that best, showcases who you are. It doesn't need to explain who you are and your entire life story, but write what's authentic to who you are, because when we review them and when we read them, those are the ones that are going to last. Those are the ones that we're going to remember, because we really feel like we get to know who you are through that story. So again, give yourself enough time, have someone else review it. And this will be the most time consuming part of this entire process. So again, you just want to, if you haven't started now, start to write that essay, start to think about what the stories you want to tell. Because like I said, this will be the most time consuming part of this process. Now, Hope, could you share a little bit more information about, what a typical day in your life as a UNE student might look like?
Yeah, so I'll kind of talk about what I do on Mondays. So Mondays I start with genetics. I have my genetics class at 9:30, and then at 11 I have chemistry. And then 12:30 I have anthropology, medical anthropology. So I have some pretty interesting classes this semester. I'm really excited about it. And then after that, I have a little break, and then I have work at the Student Academic Success Center. So I do some tutoring for a couple of hours. And then I have a club meeting that night. So I'm a busy girl, got a lot going on.
That's a full day. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a full day. And Gracie, I know Hope just touched on the Student Academic Success Center, but could you share some resources that students can have that they have access to on campus when it comes to academic support?
So the Student Academic Success Center, our tutoring services on campus, that's a really big one. The resource that I've utilized the most just this semester alone is probably our academic and faculty advisors. Because I did just switch my major this summer, it was kind of logistically complicated just because I switched it right before junior year. And I'm studying abroad for next semester. But my academic advisor was super, super helpful in figuring that out, making sure I'm still going to graduate on time. And my faculty advisor was helping me with the internship side of things, the order and which to take classes, stuff like that. So that's a really good resource for sure.
Yeah. And, for students who, maybe have IEP plans or 401 plans in high school, again, for those students who need additional support in the classroom or housing, you would work with our Student Access Center on campus, and they would really assist and help come up with an academic or, again, a residential plan for you, and work with the correct offices on campus, work with their faculty members, and make sure that, again, we have every need that you're going to need met so that we can make sure you're going to be a successful student here on our campus. The question for myself and, again, for the admissions office is really, what is our testing policy here at UNE? And we are test-free through the admissions process. So what that means is whether or not you've had the ability to take an ACT or SAT test over the past few years, you are not required to submit that information to the university. And you actually, if you do submit it, we won't consider it as part of the application process. Now, there are some exceptions to that policy. Students interested in nursing, pre-dental medicine, pre-med, medical biology, students with a 3.0 or less of an unweighted GPA, or homeschooled students do have the option to submit an ACT or SAT test to the university. However, it is optional. You will not be disadvantaged if you choose not to submit that test score to the university. Now, as we wrap up here, again, I want to thank everyone for joining us. We've got some other additional information to get through just at the end of this, but Hope and Gracie, for you as a final question, thinking back to your application process and thinking back to applying to schools, what would be the one piece of advice that you'd give students, as they start to think about applying and picking where they want to, submit an application to? We'll start with you, Gracie.
Honestly, I could have really used this advice when I was a senior in high school, but just take a deep breath. There's a sense of like urgency and competition, I think, when you're a senior in high school and you're hearing your friends talking about how they've already applied, where they're applying, their SAT scores, whatever. But I think just take a deep breath. You'll find the school that's the right fit for you. It's going to be okay.
And Hope, any advice?
Yeah, so to give the advice that as you're going on college campus tours, like take a minute after your tour and take a couple notes about what you're doing so that when you are in the application process, you're remembering how you feel on campus. And when you're on campus, just take a moment, whether it's like at your car or at the end of the tour, and just feel how you feel in that moment and see if you can imagine yourself just like in the middle of a class on this campus and see if you like the vibe of campus and see if you can see yourself there.
Yeah, I think great advice. Honestly, I wouldn't say anything differently. I think it's definitely advice I give students when I talk to them now around this time. So I think it's a good transition as well to talk about what's coming next on our campus. We've got 2 open houses coming up. These are great ways, as Hope was saying, to visit campus and really get to see, if this is where you want to spend the next 4 years. So that is going to be one on October 19th and one on November 2nd. You can scan the QR code in the bottom right-hand corner to go right to our visit page and sign up for those open houses. Both of them are going to give you an opportunity to learn specific information about your academic program. You could tour campus. You could take a boat tour if you're interested in marine science. You will also have an opportunity to interact with the athletic teams here on campus. We're going to have home athletic events each of those Saturdays. So you also get to see what Saturday afternoon on campus looks like with a big football game, with different athletic events going on. So you get, again, a better insight to what that student experience might look like here at UNE as well. We also have virtual events all throughout the couple of months. We have our next session on October 23rd, focused on, again, this experiential education piece, opportunities outside of the classroom. On November 13th, we're going to be talking about living on campus. What do those options look like as a student? And December 15th, we're going to talk more about, opportunities beyond the classroom. What does that look like for students here at UNE? And like I said, you can scan the QR code there on the bottom right-hand corner to, bring you right to the visit page and learn more information about that. Now, if you have any questions moving forward, we are here to help. I work with students from Boston and the North Shore of Massachusetts. I also work with international students. So you can find my contact information on our admissions website, which you can see right there. And just as a note, most admission counselors are out traveling this fall. So if you have any questions, email is always the best way to reach us. That is where we're typically going to be checking most frequently. We're not spending a ton of time in our office. So again, shoot us an email. We'll get back to you and happy to set up a time to have a more in-depth conversation if we need it. But again, we'll happily answer questions if you want to send us any application questions or questions about UNE as well. Now, you can always reach out to our regular phone number or general admissions email as well. That'll get you directed to your territory counselor if you would like. But again, if you want, you can always visit our admissions page, which is at the bottom if you scan the QR code. I always also recommend checking out our social media pages. It gives you a quick insight to, again, what's going on campus here during the week and what's going on the weekends as well. Now, again, I want to thank Gracie and Hope for joining us tonight. We really appreciate your time and your perspective. We really, again, thank you for, just spending some time and giving us, your thoughts and talking about your experiences here at UNE. I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. If you have any questions, like I said, please don't hesitate to reach out. If you missed this session, it'll be posted on our YouTube page tomorrow. But thank you so much for joining us. Have a good rest of your night and go Nor'easters.